One more very special guest. Glad to have you here. Mutemwa, hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Yeah, great.
Great to be here.
How do you like the conference so far?
It's been amazing. I've had such a great time meeting different customers, talking about the product I'm a manager of at Microsoft called Azure Machine Configuration.
Yeah.
And just exploring Antwerp. It's such a beautiful city, and it's crazy that people get to meet in different parts of Europe every year.
Yeah, we hear it from your beautiful English. You're from the United States, right?
Yeah,
You're working in Seattle in the headquarters?
Yes. So I grew up in Lusaka, Zambia, and then I moved to the USA for school. And then after graduation, I then started working at Microsoft in Seattle.
Many colleagues from the younger generation, I always refer to the first generation, that says in Star Trek, you know.
Yeah.
And
does that include me? Am I young?
And you are third generation, I would say, right? When they came in touch with PowerShell, they actually didn't know much about PowerShell. How was that in your case when you were hired?
Yeah, I think that was definitely the case for me. So I was more familiar with languages like C, Python, sort of more general purpose or like AI sort of focused languages. I think that's kind of more in line with the zeitgeist, I think. And then when I joined Microsoft, that's when I discovered like there was such a huge community using PowerShell specifically for cloud scenarios. And I think that was the first time I had ever encountered PowerShell in such detail. So, yeah.
And now you're working in a very focused thing, Azure.
Yeah.
Azure, everything online is very important.
Yeah.
What is Azure Machine Configuration?
So Azure Machine Configuration is essentially the platform that provides a first-class experience for Microsoft to allow customers to deploy server configurations at scale. So we have customers who are trying to figure out how do I make sure that for the regulatory compliance standards that I have, how do I make sure 50,000 servers, have the same desired state at any given time. And so that's a really difficult task to do if you have to log into every computer and like change the settings manually one by one. But we offer an experience where customers can enforce that across their server fleet. It's available on Windows, Linux, for on-prem machines and for virtual machines and other cloud services as well, like AWS. And so it's a pretty robust reach that we have, and that's like such a huge value add for customers as well. So,
and you delivered a session here, so people should invest in that.
Yeah.
Have you been here? Have you been here before in Belgium?
No, I haven't. When I was younger, I think when I was about 8 years old, I traveled to Copenhagen.
Yeah.
So that's like the closest I've ever been to this part of Europe. So it's nice to kind of experience this place for the first time at 23.
Yeah, there is a great sea between the two nations, between a lot of nations in Europe and one United States of America. How do you feel people here? Is there a difference at all, despite the language?
That's a very good point. I think I would say it hasn't really. I would imagine there are many differences. But I think it's felt a bit similar to me in terms of observing Americans, just because I think Western culture is very distinct from my background as an African person. And so I think just kind of getting adjusted to like the West in and of itself kind of maybe allows Americans and Europeans a bit more closely together than they would if maybe, let's say I was from Canada, for example. I would be able to maybe notice a lot more granular differences. So I think people are very friendly. And I would say Europeans speak so many different languages, it's quite impressive, honestly, to see how one person could know French, Dutch, German, English all at the same time. It's phenomenal. Yeah. And
most important question, were people in the audience curious? What was your impression of the people following your talk?
So I think they were definitely very curious. I think what I appreciated is also how much trust they have in in the product offerings that Microsoft has. And so customers are more familiar with machine configuration as a platform because of this open source sort of suite of open source library called desired state configuration. It's like a PowerShell sort of innovation, but I also work on the Azure governance team, which has a policy engine where customers can enforce, an Azure resource graph where customers can do an inventory of all their resources in the cloud. And that's not something that's very familiar to a lot of the customers that are here. And so kind of talking about machine config and how much they are familiar with that sort of lended naturally to all these other product offerings in the ecosystem. And it was nice to see that they were very receptive and excited to see all the ways in which just Azure provides a consistent experience for management with speed and control, for sure. So,
will you return next year?
Yeah, hopefully. I'm really excited. And if I'm not, I'm also happy to see someone else sort of get to experience this. Is it public information where the next location will be?
We don't know. So it is. No, we do not know. So that is public.
Sounds good. Sounds good. If anyone is
in
looking
Europe,
for suggestions.
In Europe, I guess.
It will be in Europe. Oh my gosh, mind blowing. I wouldn't have guessed.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. No, but I'm so excited. I'm excited to, if I get to be back, I'm excited to be back. If someone else from my team, I definitely know my team will be here for sure. Will it be me specifically? Hopefully.
I think so.
Yeah.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
It was great.
Thank you.
I really loved, being here, and it's just a great place to be overall. So I'm really excited. Yeah.